Last time on Dice Funk.
So where's Anne?
I grabbed her, but then she said she had Avandra business.
You identify it pretty much right away as a dire ferret.
It's my ranger companion. His name's Marshmallow.
You begin to feel a very, very powerful abjuration spell. And as you look at the glow, you notice that the tunnel is dotted with small, shallow protuberances that look uncannily like human hands. But the oversized stone fist extruding from the walls makes it a little more than obvious.
The glass shards, do we think that's from the vial?
Unless anyone objects, Rinaldo can gather them up and put them in his satchel.
You get a little bit of a lightning show. She screams Flaffy, creates a huge cloud. But when the dust settles, Jayne is nowhere to be seen. You see Fidrick. He received a missive this evening telling him that his son has been kidnapped, and 3 cutthroat freelancers named Anne, Jayne, and Rinaldo are holding him for ransom.
Rinaldo throws the strange dagger that's on my equipment list.
And catches it and takes off.
Remember in the beginning when we said never break up the party? We're all alone.
I fixed it as best I can, Austin, so I apologize, but if you could put up with it for like 2 weeks, I'll have a new laptop.
Yeah, Austin. Would you forgive somebody else having some computer problems for once in your life? You heartless bastard.
God, you guys are like dicks, man.
Like dicks? I'm pretty sure there's no ambiguity.
Alright, do we want to get started, or do we want to talk about dicks more?
I don't know. Do you want to talk about dicks more, Leon?
I only have so much I can say.
Yeah, they're not that complicated, are they?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have one, so I can't really judge.
What's your favorite part? I think mine is the vas deferens. It's fun to say.
I just like to say shaft. It's one of those words where just like judging from the sound of it, you get like an image of what it is, and then you're like, yeah, that's a shaft.
Oh, okay. I'm abstaining. So
You're abstaining from the shaft? Like
I'm abstaining from deciding what is my favorite part of the penis. I don't have one. They're just awful. They just make me sad.
They're just awful. I hate them.
Yeah.
Leon. I don't know what it is that happened to have you so ashamed of your body, so...
Yeah.
Maybe it's because he keeps rolling ones.
I'll explain some other day. I'm ready to do, like, the thing that we do, and not penis things.
There's not much more to say, except for if I disappear at some point during the show, players try to go on without me. Listeners, you probably won't notice, because I'll fix it in post, but I might have technical difficulties. If you're interested in the specifics, listen to Word Funk episode 92? I think I explain it in there.
Yeah.
Which is not online yet.
Yeah, but it will be by the time everyone's hearing this.
And if you're listening to this episode sometime in the future, maybe after the last days of humanity and you're digging through the rubble and you find an MP3 file on a thumb drive under, a mound of skulls or something. I don't know what kind of future you're in, listener.
You may remember that everything kind of went sideways. Party got sent to the quarry to investigate a terrorist plot, he says with finger quotes, aimed at disrupting productions in the quarry by a mysterious figure of unknown origin in a hooded robe. Spooky. Upon arriving, you discovered something unsettling, I think would be fair to say. That unsettling thing being a tunnel deep within the quarry, affected by some kind of abjuration magic, with small impressions of human hands sticking out of them, and a very large stone fist with its hand wrapped around something. After some, I'm going to venture a guess here and say unsuccessful thaumaturgical experimentation, and one noisy explosion later, a member of the party vanished into thin air, it seems. And Jayne the Druid disappeared from sight. After investigating for a few more minutes, Anne, the cleric/ranger, and her new friend Marshmallow, the dire ferret, and Rinaldo absconded from the quarry to come face to face with a very upset Fidrick, who has the information that the party has now been framed for the kidnapping of the Lord's son. Plot twist. And in a desperate bid to, I don't know, screw things up a little bit more, Anne went scampering off into where we know not, with the weird-ass vampire dagger in her possession, leaving Rinaldo alone to face the proverbial music.
And if you're listening, you've now heard the same plot summary twice because I edit a montage and then Johnny explains it.
Well, I'm sorry, I just, like...
Johnny's is this way sounds more complete.
You're welcome.
No, you're fun. No, it's also good. I mean, I'm not, never mind. I'm sorry. No, you're both pretty.
Jeez, Austin, you can cut mine out.
No,
okay?
I'm just saying people have to pick one. That's all I'm saying, is there can only be one.
So the scene is set. You said there's like 7 guards around me?
I think we went with 9.
9, I'm sorry. All right. There's not, alright, are there 9 total, or is it 9 plus Fidrick?
We'll go 9 total.
Alright, that's mildly better. Okay.
Dude, there's still 9 guys, and you're one dude.
Before we begin with you, Rinaldo, actually, we're gonna briefly touch with, because, forgive me, we're gonna be going back and forth here.
Alright.
A little bit, at least. Because the first thing that we're gonna do is we're actually gonna focus in on Anne. Because Austin had a small conversation with me earlier in the week about what his plans were for the character, and I think it's probably best we get that out of the way.
Alright.
So, having received Crazy McDaggerson in her possession, Anne goes tearing an ass down the street of Stone Road on her brand new steed / best friend / snuggle buddy, Marshmallow, and not immediately after doing that, but certainly like a couple of seconds, after it happens, Fidrick, looking a little bit confused as to where to focus his attentions exactly, speaks to one of his sidekicks, I suppose, one of his cadre, and says, "You go after them. I don't suppose it'll be too difficult to find out, where a halfling riding a giant white ferret has gone, but follow them, find out where they are, and be careful." And he points to a few, and 4 of them kind of run off at a much slower speed. Anne, though, on the other hand, is headed to where, Austin?
Well, okay, so there's 4 people chasing me. I'm much faster, but can I maybe make a stealth check to try to lose them?
Yeah, we could try and lose them.
Because Marshmallow's stealth is crazy. All right, here we go. 16.
16. I'm going to go ahead and give you the benefit of the doubt and say that it takes you a little while, like it takes you a minute or two. You don't lose them right away, but you give them the slip.
Take that, guards who I don't know your names.
Hey, one of them is named Steve, and he's a real nice guy.
And shouts, "Fuck you, Steve!"
Anne doesn't know that.
There's no way Anne knows that.
She's a real good guesser. No, I'm kidding.
No, she's not.
No, that's true.
Come on.
Yeah, she yells, "Eat a dick, Jeff," over her shoulder.
Right.
None of them are named Jeff.
Steve's son is named Jeff, and he hears that, and for a brief moment, his heart just kind of sinks, and he's like, "Man, I wish people would stop making fun of poor Jeff. He doesn't mean to have a clubfoot."
It's just hurtful. No call for that. But once Anne is pretty sure she's clear of the people pursuing her, she does what she always does when she's unsure of things in life and retreats to the closest place of worship, which would be the church, capital T, capital C. And she basically just walks inside like it ain't no thing, looking for the man the man she believes is named Dan Onion, but I believe was Danyan.
Danyan, that's right.
Is he anywhere to be seen in the, I guess, vestibule?
Yeah, absolutely. You see Danyan kind of like milling about, lighting candles, putting other candles out, moving candles around. General candle business.
It's a very candle-centric job he has.
There's a lot of wax. So, but he looks up and he smiles at you and kind of nods in a fatherly way. Avuncular, more than fatherly, let's say.
And uses thaumaturgy to turn all the candles' flames purple.
He kind of shakes his head, as if like, oh, these kids, them and their purple fire.
Then she basically says, come with me, hurry. And she like grabs his hand or robes, whatever she can get a fistful of, and starts pulling him to the door behind which we had a meeting with Emma, a secret meeting. That's the secret meeting room as far as Anne is concerned.
He's a little confused, but you know, he goes with you. You go through the altar hall or the main hallway where you met him the first time, through the room where the injured and sick are, and into the secret meeting room, and all the while he's like, "Oh, is everything all right? Is this okay? Does this have to do with your friend?"
Everything is not okay. I'm on a mission from God, and I need your help.
Well, what can I do for you?
Some people think that me and my friends kidnapped the Lord's son, Ulick, but we didn't. So I need a place to hide. Can you hide me here?
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly we can. That's... Are you sure? Are you and the two friends that you were with earlier today?
Yeah, Jayne and Rinaldo. I don't know where Jayne is, but Rinaldo's been captured by people who think he did it. He didn't do it, though.
Well, she was just here a little while ago.
Jayne was just here?
Yes.
That's weird. That's super weird. Okay, do you know where she went?
She told me she was off looking for Ulick.
Yeah, we're all looking for Ulick. That's part of the reason we haven't kidnapped him yet, or at all.
Well, I believe that you haven't kidnapped him.
Where would I even keep him? He wouldn't fit in my bag. Look. Small bag.
Yes, it is.
She opens up her bag and it's filled with knives. She has like 12 knives. And they're all just stacked in there.
He pats you on the head.
Okay. I contacted my church, the Avandra Church, and they're sending people to help. So, either my friends will come find me, or they'll come and probably be in the city, and you can come get me in either situation, I guess. But I need I hide here until those eventualities pass?
Of course. Absolutely.
And wouldn't know the word eventualities. She says, until that stuff happens?
Yes, of course, child.
I'm pretty sure my friends can track my marshmallow, and she pats Marshmallow's big ol' snoot. But if not, I guess they'll probably, if you leave a purple candle out, they'll probably know what that is too. So they know about my purple fire thing.
I'll leave one of your candles, in the front windows.
Thank you. That was very, very thoughtful and reasonable of you.
That is a surprisingly good idea for Anne.
Anything else, little one?
Can you dispel magic?
Some of it, I'm sure, yes.
So this knife that has some kind of vampire magic on it?
Yes, I looked at it earlier.
I'm starting to think maybe it's too dangerous to just carry around. If you could just break the spell on it, and then it would just be a normal knife, that might be helpful. What do you think about that? How does that sound?
I don't think I'd be able to do that. He kind of like looks at the knife a little suspiciously.
Alright. I guess I'll just stay here. I'm gonna go pet Marshmallow.
Let us know if you need anything else.
Okay. Thank you.
He wanders out the door, closes it, and then goes ahead and puts your purple candle in the front window. You don't know that, but he does.
Cool. So Anne just chills with Marshmallow until the plot will bring her back.
Alright, so now we'll move back to Rinaldo.
Okay. Yeah.
You now have 5 guards
All right.
standing around you.
Okay.
Is there anything that you have a burning desire to get off your chest at the moment?
Yes, Rinaldo says, okay, Fidrick, think carefully. First of all, we're on the same side, and then he winks at him 8 times. And then...
the dreaded OctoWink.
OctoWink?
The stories were true.
Then he says, alright, now let's think through this carefully. Now you said you found a letter that's like a ransom note, that says, "We have Ulick," and it's signed Rinaldo, Jayne, and Anne. Is that correct?
Fidrick just says, "Be quiet. Men," he turns around to the remaining four.
Uh-huh.
And says, "They're chasing after the small one, but we've still seen no sign of the woman. I'm gonna need you to go into the quarry, get a hold of Getcher, see if you can arrange some men, and look for a search. She might be in there. I'll watch this one." And, the guy that he's speaking to directly nods, and then they march off in the direction of the quarry, which, they all saw you march out of when you were on your way up, right?
All right.
With them gone, Fidrick turns to you and says, "Would you cut it out with the fucking winking?"
No. All right. So, no, seriously, Fidrick. If there's a ransom note that says, "We've kidnapped Ulick," and it's signed Rinaldo, Anne, and Jayne, then those are the 3 people didn't do it, because people don't sign their name on ransom notes.
I know, you idiot.
Well, then what was all this about?
Okay, alright, look. You're the only person that's been to see the Lord in the past 2 months. And then immediately after you have a conversation with the Lord about him, he goes missing from the school. And then a note shows up a couple of days later that just coincidentally happens to have your name signed to it. And all this information about his son missing from the school is corroborated by sources he has in the institution. So, he's just all too ready to believe that, because, forgive me here, but you didn't make a too positive impression on the Lord in terms of your intellectual skills.
Rinaldo does what Rinaldo does, and he sort of tips his hat and strikes a pose.
So, of course, he's going to send us to track you down, because regardless of any guilt that you have in the affair, he is going to want to keep an eye on you. I'm not sure you know what you've walked into. I don't know what you've walked into. I haven't seen anything like this in terms of how upset and obsessed he is in the whole time I've spent in his lordship's service. So, with the heat on and the city locked down, that puts me in a compromising position.
Okay, well, look. How many guards... You just sent a whole mess of guards into the quarry, and then a whole mess of guards to look for the ferret. How many guards are in the Lord's Manor right now? Because that sounds like a lot.
24 at least, probably.
Oh, well, that's more than I expected. I was going to suggest we go murder him, but that doesn't sound like a good idea now. I was thinking it would be, not that many.
No, and even if we did, it's not as though he doesn't have loyalists all around the city in charge of places like the quarry, in the clergy, in the noble houses, in the merchantman classes. You can't just walk in here and just expect to throw a match and have everything burned to the ground. This is a very, very precarious situation.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, then let's attack this from a different angle. We know it's not me and my friends, and I'm assuming it's not you since you're the one who's telling me about this. So that only leaves a few other people who want to kidnap Ulick. So that means it's either Tamsin or A.K.A, whoever that is. So there are only so many shady characters in this town. Let's go shake them down.
It isn't A.K.A.
Yeah. Well, that all right.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
All right? Part of the reason why I'm here, not just to arrest you, is to let you know that when the heat's on you, we can't have anything to do with you. The city is closed down. The 3 of you are just burning in everybody's ears right now. So, I'm here to tell you that I can't provide you any more help while Ulick is missing. So if it was A.K.A, I wouldn't have got the instruction to say that you 3 are cancer to us as long as he is not here.
Rinaldo looks frustrated because he doesn't like doing this. He's more of a man of action. So he says, okay. Then he sort of sighs and takes a deep breath and says, okay, so I need to find my friends. And then we need to find, I'm guessing, Tamsin, who has him. Do you have any idea where she normally is? I get the feeling she's in a gang. There must be some sort of headquarters or dive or somewhere where they normally go.
Look, okay, I do have this information for you.
Okay.
After you left with AC, we were asked to poke around a little bit and see if we might be able to find where Emma was, because you asked us about the whereabouts of Emma.
Yeah.
I did manage to find the neighborhood that she lives in, and surprise, surprise, it is one of the biggest trouble spots in the city. Almost every single one of the guard members that works in this part of the city is known to have ties to unsavory elements. I would not be surprised if this area of town was also where Tamsin holds court, or whatever you would want to call it.
Okay.
Now, we don't have much time. So here's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to punch me in the face.
I was actually going to recommend that, but thank you for saying it first.
God.
I was seriously about to say that.
That's
okay.
fantastic on so many levels. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. No, Rinaldo does not say that. That's me saying that. The second those words leave his lips, I do. Like, without any other instruction, he just goes for it. And when I say I punch him in the face, I mean I punch him right in the nose in hopes of breaking it.
Okay, roll D20.
Holy shit.
Roll to hit.
Don't I get like a modifier for him trying not to be to dodge? No? Okay, fine.
I'm trying to remember.
He's standing perfectly still and trying to have this happen to him.
Yeah, I know. It would be like there's a special, what is it?
I mean, 5th edition kind of unifies all things under the advantage-disadvantage system, basically.
Yeah, it would be, so I guess it would be advantage, alright? So roll twice, take the higher result.
This. And that's even worse. Rinaldo rolled a 9 and an 8
Oh my god.
while he was standing still.
With the element of surprise and against a target who was not resisting you, you could not punch him square in his unguarded face.
Rinaldo, all right, you describe this because I don't even know.
Alright, so, at this distance, I'm not gonna say that you didn't hit him, but without even rolling for damage, because you're not trying to do damage, you're just, you're trying to make it look good. You're trying to give him something so that he can wake up later. And you just, you throw your hip into it, you punch as though, Rinaldo looks like he knows how to punch. And if somebody were to see it from a distance, they might be a little bit alarmed by it. Fidrick, who doesn't even flinch, takes it on the cheek, on the cheekbone, pretty gracefully. Your hand hurts, Rinaldo. And he kind of, his head sort of moves off to the side a little bit, and he goes, oh. I guess that'll have to do.
Well, I was trying not to hurt you. I was being considerate. Rinaldo lies.
Oh, yeah, yes. Yeah, great job, then.
You are the best worst puncher ever.
Thanks.
Alright, he says, okay, can you point me in the direction of where the bad place in town is?
Yes, I can.
You can just say he gives me the directions. We don't need to, do, latitude and longitude.
I hope you have graph paper ready, motherfucker.
Yeah. Rinaldo says, 23 skidoo, and then he runs off in that direction.
23 skidoo?
Yeah.
While you're moving away, you just, you very casually kind of, look behind you to see what Fidrick's doing, and you see him kind of, look around to see if anybody saw what just happened. And once he's confident that nobody's looking, you see him, kind of look down at the ground and very carefully choose a place to lie down. shaking his head the whole time, just kind of being like, he looks pretty unimpressed. And then you see him lie down and kind of like put his head and move his helmet as though he hit the ground with like a little bit of force and it fell off.
Look at the bright side, though. Like, he has to be thoroughly convinced that we are stupid and weak, which plays to our advantage because no one's going to see us coming when we get good all of a sudden. After our training montage, we'll have an 80s training montage at some point and then be good. But right now we're building up this mythos as like the most bumbling of bumblefucks.
Right. Rinaldo does not think to search for Anne at this time. He just goes off in the direction because that seems like the kind of thing he would do. So he goes off in search of the bad part of town.
At this point in time, we are now going to shift focus and move over to Jayne the Druid.
Oh man, this is like an HBO drama. I'm hooked.
So there are some things that just like I'm gonna go ahead and warn the party and the listeners here that there are some things that I, as the dungeon master, am not yet comfortable revealing to everybody at the time of this recording. So some things have happened to Jayne. I had a private conversation with her. These things are going to be revealed in time. So when we join Jayne, she is actually currently wandering about the part of town that Rinaldo is headed for.
All right.
I know that this sounds mysterious and all that, but like some of these things are things that are like they're very specifically private to Jayne and to myself. So when they are revealed, and they will be revealed in time, I think you will understand why.
All right.
But for the moment, Jayne is on the wrong side of the tracks right now.
That's DM speak for none of your business, bitches.
That's fine.
It's sorry. It's like I feel like I should apologize because you're all like, "What happened?" I'm
that's
sure,
okay.
But it is super important that you guys don't know.
Okay.
At this point in time, all right?
Neat.
Okay. You're not there yet, Leon.
I just saw a really fluffy bunny playing with a little carrot, and it made me happy and giggle. I'm sorry, I'm good. So I'm wandering about town then.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can't quite Oh yeah, you do. You do have the
Yep.
Sorry, no, the papers. You have the papers from
Yes.
That you picked up in Ulick's room when you first investigated, don't you?
Yeah, I think I still have them, yeah.
You have been wandering around, like, trying to find what you were told was Emma's house.
Right.
And most of the people that you're talking to on the street are just kind of like shake their head and sort of like walk by, heads bowed. They're not paying much attention to you at all. A couple of people, when you ask them, excuse me, I'm looking for Emma. Do you know where Emma's live? They either kind of like laugh or shrug you off and say, Emma, huh? Which one? And then wander off. So you're having a little bit of trouble finding what you're looking for.
Okay. Do I have a description of the house? I don't remember.
You have a description of what was on the front door.
Okay, so I'm gonna look for that. So, roll perception?
Yeah, go for perception.
10. Lame.
Still having trouble. And Rinaldo gets ever closer to being in the same neighborhood.
Yay.
Alright,
This is like that thing in Breaking Bad where you don't know who poisoned the kid and it takes a couple episodes until the audience catches up to what the characters know. So we're like in this weird space now of where we don't know what's happening, but it's just unfolding. It's pretty cool. We on the AMC shit, bitches.
Okay, so I guess I'll just keep looking because, I really don't want to it's broad daylight, right?
No, it's night.
Oh, it is night. Okay, well,
Yeah.
In either case, I don't really want to draw attention because I really don't want to, I'm looking for Emma. She wants to keep a low profile. I'm trying to keep a low profile for her. That makes sense.
Right.
So I guess I should I roll again then?
All right. Are you just keep looking?
Yeah. Do you want me to just roll again?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Uh,
You're still having trouble, it's a very tightly packed neighborhood. Obviously, the people who live in these houses aren't the most well off of denizens of Stone Root. It's a very, we'd even say sub-working class neighborhood. So streets are not labeled, not named. You get lost a couple of times, you're sort of turning around, scratching your head, trying to find your way through. And there's still plenty of people, moving around the street who are, there's a high traffic for nighttime.
Those rolls were 10 and 13 for listeners.
Not as bad as my rolls, but still not too impressive.
You literally could not punch a standing target.
Yeah. The only reason they were 9 and 8 is because I have such high modifiers for them. They're really 4 and 3. So.
God, that's somehow worse. Now that I know that's kind of worse.
Yeah.
All right, guys, what are we doing?
I don't know if I'm there yet.
Not quite yet. You're almost there, Rinaldo. You're almost there.
Okay.
Alright, I'm gonna look one more time and hope for the best. Oh, that's a little bit better.
Yeah,
18.
Okay, 18. You think you got a handle on the neighborhood, but you still can't find it.
God damn it.
Rinaldo.
Yep.
You have made your way to the neighborhood.
Okay.
Fidrik's instructions have finished paying off, essentially. So.
All right. Here's what Rinaldo wants to do. Let me ask something, because I don't know all the stats exactly what they mean in this edition. Does survival mean look for footprints and tracks and shit like that?
That's forage off the land. It's
Survival includes looking for tracks.
Oh, is that looking for tracks as well?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different stuff it does. I mean, I can read the full list if you want, but it's anything a ranger would use, basically.
Okay.
Well, Rinaldo is not a ranger, but I do have, but I might as well, because that's what I'm doing. So Rinaldo is basically looking for Jayne, and he's going to try to do it by looking at the ground. So that is his best idea. So
let me read just in case anybody's curious. Survival does check allows you to follow tracks, hunt wild game, guide your group through frozen wastelands, identify signs, predict the weather, avoid quicksand or other natural hazards.
As well as keep up with popular culture phenomenon so that you're always wearing stylish boots and nobody's like, we would have hired you, but those are last season's.
What the fuck?
That's why it's a wisdom-based roll.
So Rinaldo's basically, in his mind, he's looking for anything that looks like dire ferret footprints or anything that might resemble Jayne. So, because he doesn't know who's here. So that is what he's doing. 17. It's good. It's not bad for a Rinaldo roll.
You're not really finding anything compelling.
All right. Here, Rinaldo gets frustrated easily, as I've mentioned more than once.
You guys, what is basically happening right now is that the two of you are wandering around the same slum, kind of aimlessly at this point in time.
In our high budget drama that I've now convinced myself this is, there's a crane shot where you can see Jayne and Rinaldo walking in near each other but not quite crossing paths, and it's a really beautiful aerial shot.
Yeah. Lots of crowd management, some pretty impressive stuff, and the sets are beautiful.
This is what Rinaldo yells at the top of his lungs. He says, "Jayne, Anne, Emma, somebody, it's Rinaldo." And then the second he finishes saying that, he realizes that the entire town is looking for him.
I think Rinaldo might need to add quick to anger to his flaws on his sheet, because that's becoming a defining characteristic.
Well, that's more like his arc. He didn't start out that way, But this mission that he's been on, which he thought would be pretty cut and dry, turned out to be very complicated and political, and he's not down for that. So he's getting, that is becoming a thing.
Do I hear that?
Roll perception.
Yeah. I mean, he's bellowing it.
And I'm just kind of curious here. Where's my Rinaldo character sheet? I've got so many windows open. Yeah, I'd say that you hear that, Jayne.
Nice.
Because Rinaldo, with a high charisma score, I would say that Rinaldo is probably quite adept at communicating. And he's trying to be heard, so you roll perception. Yeah, you hear it.
Also, considering Rinaldo has a as we've mentioned, a foreign-y sounding accent, it probably stands out. So if you hear me, come find me.
Leon?
Yep.
You yell out. Nothing happens.
Oh. Rinaldo just assumes that no one heard him. And he starts to get more and more frustrated. So he looks for the first person he sees on the street, and he sort of like, in a way that's not entirely polite, sort of like tugs them by the elbow and says, "Do you know anyone named Emma or Tamsin?"
They kind of like stare at you because they just heard you like yell your name rather unabashedly. They kind of like, squint at you a little suspiciously, and says to you, "Are you looking for Emma or Tamsin?"
I like how blunt force our detective style is. It's like, can you imagine an episode of CSI where they just go around screaming into the sky and grabbing people and yelling in their faces?
This is more like The Shield.
I'm reminded of like Law and Order SVU, and just like the two of you are like friggin' Ice Cube and I'm like, and Ice Cube and Stabler, and I'm like not any of those people.
Alright, just so our audience knows, that is Ice-T. Thank you very much, not Ice Cube.
Well, Ice Cube is kind of more scary, I guess.
Leon, you be Ice Cube, I'll be Ice-T.
Okay.
We'll diversify our ice portfolio.
Oh, can I be Vanilla Ice, you guys?
Of course.
Well, you're from Canada, so yeah.
Awesome.
You're as white as it gets.
Rinaldo thinks about it for a few seconds, like, which person do I want to find the most right now? And then he decides and says, Tamsin. And he says it in a way like he's not sure, but that's what he decided.
The pedestrian shuffles away from you and says, "I have nothing to do with you nor her."
Alright, Rinaldo, alright, here. This is what Rinaldo's gonna do. He's going to try to intimidate this person to give up the information, because he's not, he like I said, sometimes he likes to sweet talk people, but since he's in a frustrated mood, I feel like that's what he would do.
This, by the way, this is an old lady who has stopped, so please go right ahead and try and intimidate the old lady.
No, I'm cool with that.
That just lowers the DC.
Yeah. Alright, so I get a lot for intimidation, but knowing me, this will not work. Yeah! 19!
Jeez.
I'm intimidating as fuck. Then again, she is an old lady.
So, what do you do intimidation-wise?
Rinaldo, he puts one hand on his Morning Star, and he sort of puffs out his chest, and he says, "I need to know where Tamsin is, and I need to know," and then he sort of leans in, and he says, "Now."
She straight up hits you in the face with her handbag, and yells, "Brute! You vagabond! You think that I've lived in this town all my life, only to be shouted down by a stranger on my own goddamn street? You wretched thing!" And just keeps, wailing on you with the handbag right in the face.
Can I make a perception check to see if I see this?
I take her handbag.
Please?
Alright, okay, Leon, if you're gonna take her handbag, you gotta make a grapple check.
That's fine. I'm gonna lose.
Can I make a perception check to see if Rinaldo is being beaten by this old woman in my presence?
Yeah, okay, Jess, go ahead and make a perception check.
12.
All right, Jess, you hear a kerfuffle in the neighborhood, some woman screaming, but you don't see it, and you're not sure.
Can I go towards it?
All right, okay, yeah, you can move towards it. Go ahead, Leon, make a grapple check.
I'm gonna go towards this old woman screaming at whatever the hell she's screaming at, I guess.
Nope, not good. 7. 7 against an old lady.
I'm gonna witness greatness today.
All right, so Leon, not only do you fail to grab the handbag out of her hand while she is screaming and just letting you have it, your hat flies off.
Wait a minute, don't you have to roll? Don't you have to roll if this is a grapple check?
This is not a grapple check.
You said it. I thought that's what you said.
You were trying to disarm her. She's hitting you with a handbag.
Fine.
He can just, he's the DM. He can just say that she did.
That's true. That's true. Okay.
You just be glad I didn't put a brick in that handbag and or give that old woman a knife, because holy fuck, son, she will cut you.
Alright.
This is the episode Rinaldo couldn't punch a standing person and then got bodied by an old lady. This is too good.
This is the best episode ever. We need to split the party more often.
Alright, alright, so what happens?
She wails on you for a little bit. You get a little bit cowed, cause you sort of get your fingers tangled up in the handbag, straps. And at some point in time, you think that maybe they're actually going to be broken, but you manage to, extricate them kind of at the last time. And while she's screaming, a few burly men kind of, come to her side and are like, "You all right, miss? Is this thug bothering you?" And she hits you one last time around the face, and she says, she turns to the two burly men and says, "David Jenkins, what would your mother say if she knew you were out on the street at this time of night?" And they put their hands up, kind of back away and go, okay, we're headed home now. And then she turns back to you and says, "That's right, get out of here, you creep," and walks away.
Can I push her over? Like
Stop messing with Granny Black Belt.
Seriously, she's gonna wipe the floor with you.
Rinaldo, alright, this is what Rinaldo does. He looks like he's seriously considering knocking this old lady over, but then he realizes that there are other people looking at him, and he sort of swallows his pride and dusts off his hat and puts it back on his head, and he's just fuming. Like, his face is it's not red from embarrassment, he's he's really pissed off. And he sort of marches away in a really angry way.
Please tell me Jayne caught any of that.
Yeah, you caught the very end of it. You caught the old woman yelling at the two burly men who, ran away basically as fast as they could while retaining their image. And Rinaldo starts to stomp off in your direction.
Okay.
Rinaldo.
Yo.
You don't recognize anybody in the crowd.
Okay. That's disappointing. Out of character, I have some ideas about what's going on, but in character, Rinaldo does nothing and just kind of marches around, he doesn't know what to do with himself at this point, so he just kind of puts both his hands in his pockets, and he looks really defeated.
Alright, Jayne, what are you up to?
Is the crowd starting to disperse?
It wasn't really a crowd hadn't gathered or anything like that, but of the people on the street. I'm just saying that Rinaldo recognized nobody, so...
But are they, going away now that the drama is over?
Yeah, everybody's moving about their business.
Okay, I'm gonna move about my business, as it were.
Okay, so then I'm gonna need both of you to roll perception checks now.
15.
Yep, low. I rolled an 8, because I do.
Okay, so Jayne,
Mm-hmm.
you see a door that that you recognize as being described to you as having the symbol of Ilmater on it, which is a pair of hands tied by red cord.
Okay, I go to the door.
You go to the door.
I check to see if anybody's, following me.
It doesn't look like it.
Okay.
Make a perception check.
19.
Yeah, you don't see anybody.
Okay. Alright, I'm going to lightly knock on the door.
Alright. So a knock on the door. The door opens a little bit, and a man in his late middle-aged, with a scar that runs from the top corner of his mouth through a sewn-shut eye up into what obviously presents as a damaged skull, pulls the door open and looks at you with his one good eye with a little bit of suspicion. He addresses you and says, "If you're here for soup, it won't be ready yet for another hour. You best come back later," he says, and waits for your response.
It's a fucking code, of course it is. I look at him and I say, "Look, we don't have time for this. A lot's been happening and I need to talk to you and whoever else is in this house."
Well, it's just me right now. What can I do for you?
Do you know where Emma is?
You're looking for Emma?
Yes.
Oh, well. Why don't you come in?
Okay.
He opens the door and wanders inside. Asks you if you'd like a cup of weak tea. Explaining briefly that, Stone Roots merchants haven't really been that great with other kingdoms lately, and even at the best of times, their relationships with other traders are cool, so most of the imports kind of been out of sorts lately, and tea, unfortunately, is a little difficult to get a hold of, but he'd be more than happy to prepare you some if you'd like some.
That would be wonderful, thank you.
So he bustles about in the kitchen a little bit, and you get the impression from talking to him that he's a bit of a rambling sort. He's like, "Oh, you're looking for Emma. Good girl, Emma. Does her best, considering what she's been given. Real sweetheart, kind soul, gentle, older than her age. Almost looks after me as much as I look after her. What can I do for you? What are you looking for Emma for, anyways?"
Well, we have a bit of a situation. It involves her boyfriend, Ulick.
Ulick. He taps his head as if he's trying to remember something.
The Lord's son?
Yes, no, I know, I remember. Easy. Just getting a little old, that's all. Last I heard, he'd gone off to school. Upset she was. Ooh, put her in a right state, she did. He did, pardon me. She was upset about that for days on end, I recall. Loved that feller. Didn't think it was gonna work out. Girl like him, guy like her. He brings you the cup of tea, but then kind of returns to this pot of what appears to be soup or stew that he's got roasting over a cook pit in the kitchen.
Well, yes, he did go to school, and then a few rabble-rousers let him escape the school, and he's been...
Pardon me, I haven't introduced myself. The name's Fallon. Sorry, it's manners. I don't get many visitors that don't know my name already.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
I help take care of the Grieg twins. Well, mostly Emma these days, but...
I can't wait until Anne runs into this character so she can call him Falcon.
By the way, if you get, Austin, if you have any plans or any ideas or something like that, feel free to jump in and be like, "I want to do something."
No, let's let this play out. We got some momentum going.
All right. I look after them after the parents passed away, you see, but I'm getting old these days. Emma takes care of me more than I take care of her. Anyway, what was you saying about Ulick? Ulick, right.
Ulick has been kidnapped, and I have been hired to find him.
Kidnapped? He says, "Well, that's awful. What happened? Does Emma know?"
Well, that's what I came to find out, if she actually knew, and if she did know, any ideas of where the kidnappers would take him, or anything like that.
Oh, well, she didn't say anything to me today. Although she did come in quite a huff from the church, much earlier than she usually does, too. Oh, yeah, quite angry now that I think about it. She, went to her room, put her leathers on, which, come to think of it, she hasn't done since she was into a bit of bad business when she was a little younger. Oh, shite.
Something wrong?
Nah, yes, she just, poor girl had a rough time when she was young, growing up. Mother died at, birth, and father was a casualty of the stone hole, the quarry, sorry. We call it the stone hole sometimes. Used to work there myself, I did. And, yeah, she, bit of a troubled growing up, she was. Same with her sister, really, although Emma seemed to straighten things out. She's a lovely gal these days. I'm sorry, what did you want again?
I wanted to know if you knew where she was going.
No, she didn't say to me, but she got her leathers on. It can't be pretty where she's opting to go.
Do you know where?
Didn't say. Didn't think to ask. Huh.
Well, where does she usually go when she puts her leathers on?
I don't know. She hasn't worn those in, 10 years, I think. No, if she's dressed the way she is, she's spoiling for a fight, that one.
And that's what I'm afraid of.
Who would she want to fight?
Tamsin, obviously.
What about her sister?
What about her sister?
Do you know where she's been for this last day or two?
I don't see Tamsin very much anymore. She spends most of the time with her crew.
What's the name of her badass gang?
You're not fair.
I'm asking out of character. I just want to know. I bet they have a really cool name.
I'm not telling you.
Are they the Tunnel Snakes? Do they rule?
They're not the Tunnel Snakes.
Fuck.
Just as a quick aside, Rinaldo is wandering the streets, openly crying, and that I just wanted to throw that in. As this is happening, that is happening. So anyway,
all right, Leon. As you're wandering around the streets, though,
yeah.
There's you notice that there's a large contingent of unfortunate people. Not large. At this point in time, there's probably about 8 of them or something like that are all gathering outside a particular house. They all look kind of malnourished, really down on their luck. They look homeless and destitute, frankly. But they're all kind of like gathering around this house that's got a symbol on the door. That's a pair of hands, kind of like tied together with a red thread. You recognize it as being the symbol of Ilmater, who is the god of sort of the tortured and downtrodden.
I'll assume Rinaldo just knows that because I don't. But okay,
It's Ilmater is one of the more well-known gods
Alright.
in D&D 5th edition.
all right. Rinaldo sort of like wipes some of the tears out of his eyes because he doesn't want anyone to see, and he figures like scummy people might know where Tamsin is, and he sort of just walks over there and tries to like eavesdrop.
Is Ronaldo's mustache all like snotty and gross?
I can only imagine it is.
And it's kind of askew, too. I mean, I'm assuming that he tried to, like, write it out after taking a couple of handbags to the face, but...
Yeah. I think the religion thing is, even if Ronaldo's not, like, a scholar, like normies in our world still know who, like, Vishnu is. Like, you've heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, the religion check is kind of like, I think, for slightly more obscure stuff.
Okay.
A layman wouldn't necessarily immediately be able to, like, call out.
All right.
Also, like, you don't need to be like, every time like, you're like, oh, Ronaldo doesn't know much about tracking, but it's like, you can look around, everyone has eyes.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to be specifically trained and stuff. It just helps.
So, alright, so I'm gonna say, any suggestions of where I should look?
For Emma?
For Tamsin. Or Emma.
Oh. I suppose I could tell you where Tamsin hangs her hat these days.
That'd be very helpful.
I mean, don't get me wrong. You look like you can handle yourself, but I gotta warn you to be careful. Tamsin doesn't play games, and she won't hesitate to go for the kill just to teach anybody nearby a lesson. She didn't get to where she was by rolling over and crying when she didn't get what she wanted. There's awful in that girl.
If Anne dies, can I play as Tamsin?
No, Tamsin's my character.
I know, she's real dope. I want to be Tamsin.
She sounds really good.
So he gives you some a nearby street directions to a place not far away, and says that now that it's dark, you really better be careful once you set out here, because it doesn't get too friendly down that street when the sun's down. And with a final plea in an otherwise stern voice, he says to you, "If she's okay, bring her home, please. It's not the best life for us here in Stone Root, but we do the best we can, and we try to help the others out, too. I'd like to see her back home."
I'll do what I can. Thank you for your hospitality, and I go to leave.
Are you sure you won't stay for some soup? It's gonna be good tonight.
Unfortunately, no. I really have some pressing business about you, Lick, and the sooner I take care of it, the better.
Right. Well, if there's anybody outside waiting, you can tell them to come on in. Soup's ready.
No problem.
All right. So you make your way to the door, open it up. You're greeted by a group of about 8 or 9 homeless-looking men, and a nearby Rinaldo.
Does Rinaldo see her?
Rinaldo, you see somebody come out the house, but you don't recognize them.
Okay. Then Rinaldo does nothing. He just kind of hangs out.
I look at the men, and I say, "Soup's ready," and I continue out of the house.
Wait, does Rinaldo recognize the voice?
Hang on. I'm investigating that right now.
So there's clearly something, magic happening with Jayne's appearance.
Or she's just wearing a mask. I mean...
Maybe. I was just thinking that, if this was the HBO show, I now am convinced it is. There would be a lot of really clever camera angles during that last conversation with the old man to hide the fact that, even though you hear Jayne's voice or whatever, you can't tell it's her. I'm sorry, I'm picturing this in my head. It's really good.
No, dude, the more you give, the more, some fan art person's gonna try to do it. Come on! We got a badass album cover out of it.
All right. So the answer is, though, Leon, when the foreign-looking figure comes out and says, "Gentlemen, soup's ready," the voice does sound familiar to you.
Okay. Ronaldo perks his ears up and gives the figure a good look.
What's he looking at?
But just in general. I mean, he's not like poking or anything, but he recognizes something going on, so he takes another gander.
All right.
He can't really think to do anything besides that.
There's nothing about the character that to the eye looks familiar to you. You know, if for a brief second there you recognize the voice very specifically as Jayne, you find the physical presence in front of you unrecognizable. In fact, it's much taller than Jayne is, almost by a clear foot.
Oh, okay.
And slightly more muscular. You know, the lady looks like she's working out. She's lived a life of physical labor, essentially. And
it's Brienne of Tarth.
It's Brienne of Tarth is basically what I'm trying to say, if we're going to go with this HBO shit. Or, if you prefer, Captain Phasma.
I do.
Okay.
I actually prefer Captain Phasma.
Ronaldo sort of scratches his head, and he doesn't know what to make of what's going on, because he doesn't know, and I don't. So he tries to follow the figure, but in a stealthy way, which is not his best skill.
All right, so you're gonna go with following the figure, and you're not gonna go through the open door of the house.
The thing that caught his attention was that, so that's what he wants to do.
All right. Okay. So Jess, what's your plan?
I'm gonna check if anyone's following me.
All right. So Leon, make a stealth roll.
Stealth versus perception.
Stealth versus perception.
15.
All right, let me try to see what I can do here. Holy shit!
Oh my god!
I critted it! I got a natural
Holy
20
shit!
on something that might be useful.
Can it be dumb luck? Like Rinaldo's following her, and just as she goes to turn around, he trips and falls behind some barrels?
Can that be like sheer dumb luck?
I think we
please?
can arrange that.
Okay. I'm willing to accept that.
Yeah, Jess, you see nothing. It's like, for a second there, you're like, God damn, I think I'm being haunted. There's a ghost.
Alright, I'm gonna turn around and keep walking in the direction that I got the directions of, I guess.
So, the two of you circuitously make your way. Something that you notice, Leon, is that the figure that you're following is very deliberately moving through the streets. They look like they know where they're going. And at one point in time, the two of you round a corner, not like right next to each other, like walking in tandem or anything like that. You're not that good. A natural 20 is good, but not that good, right? And you see what you can only assume is the place that Fallon directed you to.
Mm-hmm.
You are confronted by what I could only describe as an unusually lavish bawdy house that has torches blazing, big open, like a town circle, opulent fountain out front, plenty of people drinking and merriment on balconies, lots of scantily clad men and women just like sitting in each other's laps, singing merry songs, and a bright sign out front that says, "Come back next week."
Can we have one scene with Anne before we end it?
Let's have a scene with Anne. Meanwhile, at the church...
Can we have a thing where, like, Marshmallow is laying on the ground, Anne is laying on him like a pillow, and, like, she's looking at the vampire knife or whatever, and, like, Danyan comes to, like, bring her food?
Yeah, certainly.
Alright, so she's, like, laying there, just, like, turning the knife over and over in her hand, and I guess Danyan comes in. I don't know what he has.
He's got, we'll say that he's got, a bowl of nuts, alright?
Uh-huh.
Assorted nuts. Roasted even, so you're like, ooh. Like, that wasn't, you just didn't pull those off trees. You prepared those, right? And then, he's also got some bread, figs, but like fresh figs, not like dry, gross figs, like, and some unsliced bread, right? And he puts them down next to you, and he says, I trust you have something to cut the food with. Ooh, there's cheese too.
The one thing I'm not worried about is having knives. I'm really covered on the knife front. I got, oh man, so many knives.
Yes, you let me know.
She looked like excited about the food when he came in, but she like clearly looks like sad and worried now.
Is something wrong?
I'm worried about my friends.
Well, I saw your friend, Jayne, is it? Not that long ago. She looked to be in, perhaps a little bit, stressed, a little under duress, as it were, but, she seemed to be in control of the situation.
She's really nice, and she gives good hugs, and I like her a lot, but I don't know. I fought with them before, and they're not good without me.
Yes, a marvelous young woman, looking to do the best. I really respect what she's trying to accomplish.
Who do you worship, Danyan? Or, sorry, who do you worship, Dan Onion?
I'm a disciple of Ilmater, my child.
Jayne and Rinaldo don't worship anybody.
Well, at their peril.
I know. I keep wanting to talk to them about it, but Jayne keeps saying she hates gods, and Rinaldo only cares about money. I'm just worried if something happens to them. because she's like having difficulty putting it into words and like seems like she might start crying.
My child, if something happens to them, it's not your responsibility.
It is.
The gods look after those they can, and when people shy away from their care or their influence, what befalls them must be.
But I had a chance to change their mind and turn them to good, and I failed.
It's best not to dwell on it.
Jayne is a druid, and if you're not good and you're like a chaotic forest person, if she dies, she's gonna go to limbo. That's the worst. If Rinaldo dies, he'll just go somewhere dumb, but
somewhere dumb.
They taught me about it at the church. If you die and you're like Jayne, there's no up or down, it's just chaos, and there's giant frogs that inject their eggs into you and they eat you from the inside. It's really bad.
I know. What could I do to make you feel better?
Do you have any watermelon Jolly Ranchers? They're my favorite.
I think that's a fair point to call it, unless you have something else you want to say, Austin.
That's a great scene that it just cuts to black on your HBO show, and then you see like executive producer Dick Wolf.
Next time on Dice. Funk.
The sheen of sunlight reflects off the immaculately polished floor, and the sounds of voices as though in crowds, far away, careening round and round and round at speeds unfamiliar to you, you find intoxicating. And when suddenly a melody begins to play in the air around you, and it asks the question, "Won't you take me to Funky Town?" you are certain that you have found the roller rink of the gods.
I'm not crying. You're crying.
If Marshmallow tries to cuddle me, I will punch him in his furry fucking face.
Anne uses the scary vampire knife to cut herself off a piece of fancy cheese, and somewhere in the distance, an evil villain becomes infused with the power of lactose. As always, our theme song is A Fistful of Nickels, the overclocked remix arrangement of Shadow's theme from Final Fantasy VI. Executive producers for Dice Funk for the month of January 2016 are Joseph Timbrello, Wayne Witzke, Brent, Jason, Phoenix Mod, Ingmar Gremin, Jade, Kevin Seidlow, Tarka, The Cult of Gorfanax, Jacques Lindsay, Jorit, Michael Goodell, Giorgio Renna, Christopher Charlo, Cody Jackson, August Rue, and Taylor Hoyt. You can support the show by commenting on Channel Awesome, subscribing to us on YouTube, rating us on Podbean, or writing a review on iTunes, or any combination of those things. To help more directly, you could always pledge to our Patreons. You can find Leon at patreon.com/renegadecut. You can find Jess at patreon.com/ravenalegria13, and you can find me at patreon.com/Austin Yorsky. If you want to support Johnny, send a mixtape of your hottest raps to 123 Moose Knuckle Avenue, West Canada.